Yo guys, how's it going? I'm so sick right now, so I wanna say I'm so sorry if you couldn't understand me very well and if my voice is not really acceptable for you guys. I wanna talk about the script which I wrote, and in the previous tutorial I talked about it. And I used this script to find the plugin version of my target website. And in the previous tutorial I explained to you after finding a plugin version of my target website, I found the RCE because one of the plugins with the name of Super Cache was outdated, and the version of that was 1.7.1. But before everything, you gotta know how to develop your own tool. I just want to talk about this small script which I wrote, and I use this script to find that vulnerability because it's a reconnaissance script. It's the information gathering script which I use to find the plugin version of my target website, and finally use those versions in the internet and find out if there is any known vulnerability exists in the internet, and then exploit it. So as you can see, we need like 4 modules: request, rearc parse, and concurrent.future. It is for a treat. I'm going to explain to you like each line. First I set like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I set like 5 different commands, so user can use these 5 different commands to gather some information about their target website. I'm going to go to the directory. Okay, give me a second, let me drink a little bit of this. Okay, so WP recon, and we have WP plugin version checker. If I'm going to run it, Python WP-h, it's just going to show me the help documentation and how user can use this small tool. As you can see, there are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 comments which I set here, and each comment will help you guys to do a different things. You have a dash URL comments, user can put their URL website. You have a dash plugins, user can put a text file which contains different plugins, so this script can use those plugins instead of these default plugins to find the version of those. We have dash skip not found because it will help you to get the result more in a more organized way. Dash trees, it's like a workers. Imagine that you wanna build a house. If you are going to just use one worker, definitely just going to take time, right? But if you are going to use like, okay, give me a second, sorry. Okay guys, I'm coming again. I think I was talking about dash trees command. We just create this command because I was just trying to explain about the workers. Imagine that you want to build a house. If you're going to use and pay to one worker, maybe definitely just going to take a lot of time. But if you're going to pay to the like 10 workers to build your house, it's just going to be sooner, right? And exactly it is the same when we use dash trees. We use this module to use it. It will help us to send a request faster. It's like in a 1 second we will send 10 different requests. But the bad thing about this is this: if you are going to increase it a lot, the possibility of getting banned or getting blocked by your target website is just going to be increased, because your target website will understand it. These requests come from one one specific and one static IP address, so you're just going to block that IP address. So don't try to increase these don't try to increase these trees like a lot, like for example 50, 100. That's not a good idea. However, if you really want to do that, you gotta use a proxy list, so it will help you to not get banned. Anyway, so we have dash URL, dash plugins, dash skip not found, dash trees, and dash URL dash file, and text file containing URL to scan. What does that mean? That means, imagine that you have the list of subdomains of certain target, and you wanna scan all of the subdomains and find out which plugins they use in each subdomains. You're gonna scan each subdomains by putting the text file of them into this tool. So here we say like if the target, if the user didn't use uh, even single URL, not only single URL but also text file, we will print an error. Please specify a single URL with a dash dash URL option, or a file containing URLs with a dash dash URLs file option. Okay, and okay, let me close the door for a second. Let me close the door for a second. So in this code we say okay, args.url. What is args.url? Arg is the argument which a user, which the hacker or user put. Args.url, that means this one, dash dash url. Args.url file, that means this one, dash dash url file. And we say if the user not only specify the single URL but also specify the text of URLs, print the error for that person and say please specify a single URL with a dash dash URL option, or file containing URLs with a dash dash URLs file option, and execute the program. As you can see, it's so easy to read, so you can easily read the code. We have a command with the name of define the list of plugins slugs to check. Now we need to put the list of plugins. Okay, there are two options. First, before this code, we add another comment with the name of dash dash plugins, and in this plugin, in this comment, user can put his own plugins to scan, right? And here we say if this was true, that means user put his own plugins using dash dash plugins. Just open the file and then read the file and then put it as a list in the plugins file. Else, that means if user didn't put his plugins in a text file and didn't use his own plugins, simply just use the default plugin. And these are some default plugins. If you want, you can just go to the Python script and change the default plugin, so it completely depends on you. And then we define another function to check the single site, because we have two commands: check the single site or check the list of URLs. Okay guys, let's talk about this function. As you can see in the comment, define a function to check a single site, and as I told you, we have two different arguments. First one is dash dash URL function, the dash dash URL command, which is only for one single URL, and the second one is dash dash URL dash file, which is for the file, text file, which containing a lot of URLs, and it's completely up to you which command you want to use. Anyway, here we have two different we have two more different functions: check plugin version and check site. Here, let's go. First, let me zoom in a little bit. First, we create a result variable, which is a list, but it is empty because we didn't get any result yet, right? So we use with concurrent that futures that treat pull executor. It's for treat, and as I told you, it's for the workers. As you can see, there is an argument which it will take with the name of max workers. That means how many workers do you want to use, and user can put the trees number or workers number. But imagine that if user is not going to put anything, the max worker is going to be 0? No. Because if you are going to see in the command line arguments, we have dash dash treats, type integer, the default number is 10. So even if user is not going to put any number for the max workers, for the workers, for the treat numbers, the default number of that is just going to be 10. As executor, that means we call this as executor after this. And after that we say like futures variables equal executor that submit. That means use these workers to submit something. Submit what? Do what? Check plugin version. This is another function which I didn't explain it to you. Anyway, we say okay, now use these workers and submit. Use these workers to run this function for the site URL and a slug. And what was a slug? These plugins. If the user give the give their own plugins, the slug is going to be that. But if not, the slug is going to be the default plugins, right? And we say here for slug in plugins, plugin slug. That means like use these workers for slug in plugin slug. And the plugin slug can be the default number of plugins or the plugins which user put for himself, right? And we say for each of these, for each of plugins, default plugins or the plugins which user put himself in his text file, for each of them you have to run this function site URL and slug. You have to run this with this amount of workers. What does that mean? That means, okay, scan each of the version of these plugins. Finally, it's a conclusion. But use this number of workers because executor is this number of workers. Anyway, for future in concurrent, the future as completed. That means if the for future, that means whenever it just get complete, every plugin get complete, everything get complete. You know, for example, when our function check this plugin and it just get completed, what it's just going to do, it's just going to put the result in the result variable, and if the result of one, that means not the first one, the second one, or not arg.skip not found, that means, or the skip dot not found, skip dot that means if not found was not didn't specify by the user, just put the result and add the result, because append means add the result, add the results, no, add the result in the results. What does that mean? That means, okay, we have the result variable which is a list but it is empty, and we have a result variable but it is not empty because it gets, now it is the information inside it, because we say every plugin which gets finished, put the information of those plugins inside the result variable. Okay, and then at the end we say, okay, now add those result information and append those result information into results. And what was the result? Results was the list. And then finally return results, because user want to see the results, you know. User don't want to see the result, because result is only like one plugin and that's it. But we say for future in concurrent.future as completed. When we say for, when we use for loop, that means for each of these plugin, do this and add the result and add the information to the results. If you are going to return the result is going to be, I think it's going to be the last plugin, but we don't want it. We want to get the whole information of whole plugin, so we will return the results, and result is empty, but every plugin which is just going to get complete, the information of those plugins is just going to append to this variable, and then we finally see the whole information, right? Maybe it's just going to be a little bit complicated, but if you're going to write a lot of Python script for different like reasons, you will understand more. It's not like about explaining the Python script, it's mostly about because if I'm going to explain to you like thousands of Python script, if you are not going to go for it, you cannot learn very well, right? So we have another function with the name of check plugin version, because we want to, because as you can see in the previous function, we use the check plugin version, but we didn't specify the plugin yet, so we need to specify and write down the plugin, and this is the plugin. And now I want to explain to you this plugin what it's just going to do. This plugin will get two different arguments and value, site URL and a slug, because if you want to get the version of plugins which exist in the target website, you have to know which website. Then you have to know, okay, you want to test which plugins. A slug is this plugin, is this default plugins, or the plugins which user put himself in his comment, that means put his own plugins. And site URL is the URL A site URL is dash dash URL here. Sorry, site URL is dash dash URL or dash dash URL dash file, because let me explain it to you. Here, there's a function. Here we have site URL, okay? We have site URL. Here we have site URL as well. And but this site URL is the value which the user put. Can be dash dash URL or can be dash dash URL dash file. But for each URL in which exists in the text file, okay? So we'll go check plugin version site URL and slug. Okay, construct the URL of the plugin's README file. Okay, what is the purpose of this Python script? The purpose of this Python script is finally it's about information gathering and reconnaissance. This Python script will help ethical hackers, penetration tester, to put his for them to put his own plugins and check if those plugins exist in the target website, and if those plugins exist in the target website, what's the version of each plugin. Because whenever you get the version of each plugin, you can abuse from the version and search on the Google and search on some public website and find out if there is any known vulnerability exists in the internet with the certain version of the certain plugin. That's why we do information gathering. Anyway, this is a README URL. And what is README? Where do you want to get the version of the plugin? Imagine that you understand we have a plugin with the name of WP Super Cache. But okay, we have it. But where do you want to get the exact version? The place with the name of readme.txt, because readme is a place which explain about each plugins. Let me explain to you about with the real website. I know WP, yeah, here I'm going to change this with the WP Super Cache. Okay, here we go. If I'm going to remove readme.txt, we will get 403. That means we cannot access to this plugin directly, but we still have this plugin. But that's not the enough information. I know we still have this plugin, but I wanna see the exact version of this plugin, because I can use that version to find out if there is any known vulnerability. So if I'm going to add WP content slash plugins slash my slug slash my target plugins which I wanna find out it exists or not. If we are going to get 404, that means we don't have that plugin. For example, let me put the, for example, RCE, which I know is not a plugin here. We are going to get 404, that means we don't have that plugin. But if you are going to put the real plugin and that real plugin exists in the target website, it's just going to show you 403. That means we have this plugin, but you don't have access to it. But that's not enough information for me, so I'm going to add another thing with the name of readme.txt, because this readme.txt can help me to find out the exact version of the plugin. Here, there are some different information about the plugin. If you are going to read, maybe you will get more information. But the most important thing in this readme is this stable tags, because stable tags is the version of the plugin. Stable tags is the exact version of the plugin. Give me a second because I wanna drink the water. And we have more information with the name of requires PHP, requires at least license, blah 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 blah. Anyway, the thing which we wanna get and the thing which is the version is a stable tag. So if we are going to go to our Python script, we set here the readme URL is going to be the site URL. That means the URL which user put in the dash dash URL or dash dash URL dash file slash WP dash content slash plugins slash slug, because I explained to you here we have a slug. That means here we have the name of the plugin, and slash readme.txt. But exactly we do the same but not manually automation, right? Because we can do the same manually, but just going to take time. And exactly, reconnaissance, information gathering, and even exploiting, you know, it's about scripting. It's about automation, you know. Even I can exploit the SQL injection like manually, but it's just going to take more time. But I can use SQL map and do it in 5 minutes, for example. Okay. Maybe that wasn't a good example. Anyway, so and then we say okay, we have this URL, and this slug is dynamic, and this site URL is dynamic as well. This slug can be the default plugins, or can be the like the plugins which use a put, and which is not a default plugin, which is the plugins of users. And then we are going to try to send a request to this URL. Response request.get readme underline URL. And then here we have match, because we wanna, okay, if you are going to send a get request to this URL, that's not enough for us, because we wanna get the certain information, and that certain information is a stable tag. So we will use this regex, we will use RE or re module to, for example, we can get the whole information of the readme, like whole of these, but we don't want that. We only want the stable tag value, that means this version. So we will specify this. If you don't know what is this, just copy and paste it in a chat GPT, just going to explain to you very well. But we have here a stable tag, and this is for version. This one is for version, and a stable tag is this, a stable tag. And then we say okay, get a stable tag version from the response.txt. And what is response.txt? Response is a request which is sent to the readme URL, and what is the txt? That means whole of these. We say okay, go read whole of these and only give me the information which I want. That means a stable tag version. And then we say okay, version match.group1 if match else none. It's like we have match variable, right? We say okay, if you find it, okay, you find it. If you find it, if match was true, else none, that means it is not found, you know. Else, that means it is not found, there is no version, I couldn't get it anyway. And return, now it's the end. We are going to return the plugin name, version if the version was true, and if not, we are going to print like not found. But if your user don't want to see the not found, easily can use this comment to skip the not found. That's just skip not found, right? And that's not too hard, honestly. And then finally we say okay, we have two different functions, but we didn't run this function yet. We have it, but we didn't run it. How we are going to run it? We are going to say okay, if user use the args.url, that means if user put his own URL and use the dash URL command, then you have to get the create a result variable, and then use the check site function for this URL. That means the URL which user put. And if you're going to go to a check site only want one argument, and this one argument is the args.url. That means that one argument only, it's the URL of the user. And then we are going to say okay, print args.url, because I just wanted to make it more organized. First print the name of the website with the two like double dots, and then print the result. If you are going to only print the result, it's not going to be organized. Imagine that you are going to put a lot of URLs, and then you are going to get like thousands of information. Like we say we will see like 200 plugins exist with a certain version, but we don't know in which website. That's why I do that. That's why I tell first print the URL, then print the result, so we will understand okay, this result is for this URL. And then it's exactly same like for the text file, but it is first just going to read it, and then we will use a concurrent that future treat pool executor, and it's not too hard, it's just for treat number as I explained it to you, and it's exactly the same, but here we say first, let me show you here. We say first print the URL with a double dot here like this, and then print the result, so it's the same. And that's it. Now if I'm going to, I just didn't want to explain it to you like a lot, because I think right now it has to be like 15 minutes. Now if I'm going to run it, python plugin version checker, python -h, you'll see the command, and then python dash dash URL. And what is my URL? My URL is delp. My URL is html.dsp. And then if I'm not going to use this dash dash escape not found command, let's see what we are going to get. We are going to get like this, you know. We are going to get even the plugins which don't have which is not existing in the target website and which don't have a version. None, 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 none. And the plugins which have a version, but we don't want that, so we are going to copy this and we are going to, oh sorry, we are going to say dash dash escape dash not dash found. That means don't print me the plugin which is not found. What's gonna happen? I don't know what's going on, honestly. Let me close this and let me see what's going on here, because I really don't know. Let me close this. And here I was trying to explain this, anyway we didn't have time. cd that was wp python dash dash URL was html.dsp. okay, and then we are going to use a dash dash escape not found command, and we are going to get the result in a more organized way. As you can see, we only get the result which is valid and which is true. That means we didn't get the plugins which is not exist, okay, and we didn't get any non plugin or any not found plugin. We only get the plugin which is exist and their version. WP mail SMTP their version, WP super cache their version, Akismet and the version. But it is exists in the list. If you want to remove it in the list, you can easily remove it and move it to the string, but I didn't want it. And this is the thing which I told you. First, you're just going to print the URL, so you're just going to be more organized. And we will understand, okay, this result is for this URL. Imagine that if you are going to have the list of URLs in a text file, 100 URL, and if you are not going to see, if the script is not going to print the URL first, you are not going to understand each result is for which URL. That's why I did that. And even you can change the thread number, because you can see it's freaking fast, right? You can change the thread number. The thread default number is 10, but if you are going to change it, you can change it, for example, to 1. And if you change it to 1, it's just going to be a lot more slow, you know, slow. Look at this, so slowly, you know. But if you are going to change it to 10 again, look at this, in a 1 second, boom. Did you get it? That's why it's freaking fast, because dash dash trees is for the number of workers. That's it. I hope you loved this tutorial, and I was just trying to explain my Python script, because I think if you are going to learn and read the code of others, you will create your own mindset, you will create your programming mindset. But at the end, I'm saying, if you wanna be a good programmer, it's not only watching YouTube videos, you know. You have to go for it. You have to code a program. Even it can be a small Python script like this, but you have to go for it, right? That's it. I hope you loved this tutorial like before. See you later, guys. Goodbye.